I want me to say it on the mic? Is Dolores McCluskey here? Dolores? Can you identify yourself? Darby, I'm sorry.
This is awesome. Thank you.
Not here yet? Dolores, please? Okay. Oh, that's maybe one. We'll just be looking for her. We know she's coming. Okay. All right, Hannah, whatever you want to do.
Can I give the troops at ease?
You what?
Give the troops at ease on the flag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to get ready to come back to the tent. We're going to do it. Okay, first off, I would like to welcome everybody here today. And the first thing we were going to do is we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag because that's what our fallen fought for, okay? It's what they paid the ultimate price for. And that's what these folks running, that's what they're representing is our fallen. So at this time, if you would, if you uncover and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, what I'd like to do is, this is our first time, but this is a piece of history, okay? This is a piece of history because how often do you hear about somebody running 6,000 miles, 5 months, coast to coast, just to respect our fallen soldiers and servicemen, okay? And so with that, a little bit about myself is I'm the former 45th Infantry Brigade Combat Team Command Sergeant Major. I was the Command Sergeant Major in the rear when the last deployment to Afghanistan. On that deployment, we lost 14 service people, men and women. And so I take it really dear to my heart for what this run represents. I also, on a previous deployment to Afghanistan, lost another soldier. And I know they're all being represented here, so I know this is a worthwhile endeavor, as hard as it may hurt, ladies. So today I want us to look around here and see the representation, a good turnout from Perry, okay, from Noble County. We have PGR riders. Thank you. Sorry about so many changes, but we still end up with a few of you. Appreciate it. We also have American Legion. Quite a few of the American Legion here today. We have the OHP. Appreciate the OHP for giving them the escorts across Oklahoma. We have many community supporters. Main Street of Perry. There'll be a little more about that in a little bit. We've got the Comeback Cafe, who has also helped us set this venue up. We also have Sooners Corner Tire Repair, and we got our recruiters over here that helped, I believe, with the meal and some of the snacks on the way. Rich Farrell, appreciate the sound system and everything here. Mayor Gordon Johnson couldn't be here, but he did do the proclamation, and we have a proclamation to give out here in just a little bit. We have Mr. Larry Pinnell, the city manager, will do that. April Van Osdale, where you at, April? Over here. She helped me team coordinate this, so anything that went right, she did it. Anything went wrong, I did it, okay? So, appreciate you, April. Again, we got the American Legion, Microtel Motels. That's where the runners are going to stay tonight. The Legion helped donate that, but also worked with Microtel, and they helped us with that. And then we got the Perry Daily Journal, helped run the ads and the stories for this. And we just appreciate everybody that showed up today, and also many faces, familiar faces I see around here, I appreciate the individuals that showed up today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. George Lutz, who is the founder of Honor and Remember, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what this whole program is about. So, George?
Wow, what an amazing sight. This is awesome. I will tell you that we have been traveling for 53 days, over almost 2,500 miles, over 2,400 miles. And this, I will tell you, this is the most cohesive a community has been in coming out and supporting us. I mean, from every aspect, from every area of the community, it has just been incredible. And I am just so grateful. I'm so glad that Danny mentioned everybody. I have no idea who all is here, and forgive me for not knowing, but I know it's been pulled together as a community, and it's just been amazing. You know, from the support of the police, the state police, and from the PGR, and from the American Legion, and VFW, and on and on and on. So those that we have come in contact that I could recognize. But I'll tell you guys, from law enforcement, we have not had a better escort in any state that we have been in than Oklahoma. And so I am really grateful for that, because I will tell you, I know that all of you know the roads around here, and very little shoulder. And these guys have been right on it, dead on all day long, you know, with the the up and downs, and making sure the traffic flowed past us. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. For one guy was out there early this morning, let alone for two. And so we're more than grateful, because one of the things that is so important to us is safety. Everybody has got to be safe. And if we don't feel safe, then we can't do the miles that need to be done. And so more than thankful for all of the support and help, and just seeing so many supportive faces is just amazing. I'm not going to try to talk too long, but I do want to fill you in a little bit as to why we're here and what we're doing, and a little bit about how it started. It happens to be the 10th anniversary of an organization that I founded on Memorial Day of 2008 called Honor and Remember. And that organization was founded to bring national remembrance to our nation. And we do that with the creation of a flag, the Honor and Remember flag. If you haven't seen it, it's part of our apparel, and it's on the RV, and we carry it. So if you've seen us carrying a flag, when we're down to one flag, we're carrying the Honor and Remember flag, because that flag was established as a national symbol of remembrance, recognizing every fallen service member from the beginning of our country's history, every branch of service, and every cause of death. And it is that flag that we carry, because it not only represents those that we're running for on the war on terror, but it literally represents every single fallen service member in the history of our country and everyone to come. And so it is a very important symbol to us, very much like the POW-MIA flag that was established back in 1971. And so that became our message of remembrance. We wanted to make sure that not only those that understand, I know that the veterans get it, the active duty get it, you know, those who are connected to the military, those who have lost loved ones, they get it. But that's a very small percentage of the rest of the population of America. I mean, I'll even go so far as to say it's 10% of the population. So if 10% of the population get it, then there's 90% out there that really don't understand what the military does and what sacrifice means. And so we thought, rather than preaching to the choir, we would create a symbol by which all of America could show their appreciation for the sacrifice of these men and women by displaying something tangible, some way of sending a very specific message. And that's why the Honor and Remember flag was created. Also 10 years ago, 2 weeks after the Honor and Remember organization was founded, there was a gentleman named John Bologna who lost his college roommate. And he decided, he didn't lose him 2 weeks after. He had lost him in 2005. But 2 weeks after our establishment, he decided that what he was going to do was run across America in honor of his college roommate, a gentleman named Michael Cleary. And so he and a handful of dedicated individuals, much like we have, decided that they were going to run from California to Arlington Cemetery. Within 2 weeks of him starting his run, he and I became friends. We met, we chatted, and we became a part of what his mission was. Obviously, his mission was to name every battle casualty that had been up until that time. It was about 3,800 at that time. And so he ran a mile for every hero. He actually ended up traveling about 4,000 miles. Fast forward, a few years after that, he and I merged our organizations. He went off on another path, and it was coming up on our 10th anniversary. And we thought, what better way of acknowledging and commemorating a 10th anniversary than to actually reprise the run across America, because 10 years later, there have been so many more who have died in honor of our country, in service to our country. And so we began planning about 2.5 years ago. But we didn't want to just include battle casualties, because as our mission continues, we honor all those who died while serving or as a result of serving. So it didn't matter what the conditions were of death. And that even included those hidden wounds of PTSD. We wanted to make sure that everyone who died serving our country would be remembered, not just if you went to battle. And so we began a search and a compilation of names. And people have asked me, why 20,000 names? Where did that come from? Because really, nobody believes it. But through a coordination with the Department of Defense and the Department of the Army and the Navy and a few other organizations, we compiled a list that now rivals the number of 20,000. 20,000 in every case and form of those that gave their lives. And we thought, how do we honor them? What do we do with that number? We can't run a mile for every hero, because we would be running and running and running, and we would never stop. So what we did was we took that 20,000 and we divided them up by the day that they died. So we took the year October 12, 2000, that was the USS Cole when it was bombed, as the beginning of the War on Terror. And then we identified every single date of death that occurred after the USS Cole. And we made that a mile, a marker. And then we took everyone that died on that day, that particular day, and we put them at that same marker. So we are able to honor 20,000 men and women who died from October 12, 2000 to present day. And every day we're adding new fallen service members. Because this is going to be the most comprehensive fallen veteran tribute ever compiled in the history of our country. Nobody has ever attempted to do this. No one has ever even acknowledged doing it. But 20,000 names out loud, over 6,000 miles. Now, we started this 2.5 years ago, and we realized that casualties were not going to stop, that we still were going to have men and women giving their lives. I found out about another service member today who drowned in a flood that was while he was trying to save someone on the East Coast. That is another service member that will be added to the end of our list. We had to leave over 1,000 blank miles at the end of our organized route because we knew that men and women would be losing their lives. We are now within, I believe, 50 miles of Arlington Cemetery because we have continued to add and add and add. And so every mile, what we do is we have a mini ceremony. Our runner or runners we've mostly had one runner for many days, will come to a marker carrying the names of that particular date of death and carrying the Honor Remember flag and a set of small flags, an Honor Remember small and an American flag. And they'll run up to a marker, which we have predetermined, and we'll come to attention. And we'll ask if there's any Gold Star families that are present. And I will tell you that there have been many Gold Star families present. Then we read the placard, and the placard says that this marker honors those service members who lost their lives on this particular day. And we're talking about day, month, and year. And then we read those names, and when those names are read, we place in the ground a set of flags. And then we stand back, and we salute in reverence to those names and that sacrifice. And then we pick up the next marker with the next set of names, and we move on to the next mile. And tonight, we are going to reread the names of all of those that we ran for today, because we want to make sure that those names are heard. Now, we're reading them as we go, and there's a few of us there, and sometimes there's a family. We do have a live feed. We don't always have a signal. So we don't know if everybody's hearing these names. And we want to make sure that at the end of the day, with a group like this, we are able to reread the names of those loved ones who are lost and stand now for those families who aren't here, who aren't able to hear those names being read, but knowing that we're doing it. And so we're going to take the time to do that now. We have 299 names that we're reading for today. 299. And when the runners come up here, Kristen will tell you what span of date that is. We're only running for the year 2007 right now. And I will guarantee you that that number of names, 299, is probably within a 90-day period of loss in 2007. And that is the significance of what is important to us, is that each one of those names is not forgotten. That each one of those names that we read, we know have a family. A mom, a dad, brothers or sisters, uncles, aunts, whatever family relation they have, they all have a family. And as each of us hear those names being read, I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about the fact that you may not recognize those names, but if the family were here, they would be waiting for their name to be heard. And I want you to listen as if you are that family, and that each one of those names is important to you. It's not going to take 2 minutes, so I ask you to be patient. This is maybe the only time this many names is being read out loud from this period in our country's history. This is a historic moment. You guys are here in a moment that will never happen again. We're not doing this again. We're not. And so you've come out at a time and place that I hope you'll remember for a very long time. And so I'm going to ask Kristen and those who are going to come up and run. Kristen, by the way, I always pick on her a little bit, but she is our core runner. She started with us at Fort Irwin on April the 7th, and I didn't even talk to you about that. 19 states, 5 months. We're going to end in Arlington Cemetery on August the 5th. If any of you would like to join us, August the 5th at 2 o'clock. We're going to have a closing ceremony at Arlington National and Section 60, where many of our men and women from the War on Terror are buried. But Kristen has personally run 576 miles, personally, over the last 53 days. But she was gone for 2 weeks of that time. So take 2 weeks off of 53, and she ran that in 40 days, 39 days. I'm going to give her the microphone and ask her to read the names of those we ran for
Legion
today.
there. Attention. Home.
Give them the dates.
So we were running for those who have fallen of the dates September 26th through November 26, 2007. Sergeant Jonathan Matthew Tidwell, United States Army. Specialist Julia Anita Diaz, United States Army. Private Adam Christopher Plasinski, United States Army. Second Lieutenant David Roy Lodwick, United States Army. Specialist Chirasik Vindakorn, United States Army. Sergeant First Class James D. Doster, United States Army. Sergeant Robert T. Ayers III, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Donnie D. Dixon, United States Army. Sergeant Zachary D. Tellier, United States Army. Fireman Apprentice Ryan Thomas Braley, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Jose Rafael Herrera, United States Army. Sergeant Randall Olguin, United States Army. Corporal David Ernesto Ure, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Edwin Samariba, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Martin Andreas Saavedra, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Johnny William Weiser, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Julia Ann Miles, United States Army. Gunnery Sergeant Herman J. Merkerson Jr., United States Marine Corps. Seaman Apprentice Shayna Ann Schnell, United States Navy. Petty Officer 3rd Class Mark R. Cannon, United States Navy. Colonel Jeffrey Michael Arnold, United States Marine Corps. Private 2nd Class Daniel Patrick Fisher, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Louis Rafael Castillo Silver, United States Army. Specialist Abielo Milo, United States Army. Sergeant Ricardo X. Rodriguez, United States Army. Specialist Vincent G. Kamka, United States Army. Master Sergeant Keith Edward Evans, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Abdul Qadir Ahmed Farah, United States Marine Corps. Private 2nd Class John Michael Marlney, United States Army. Sergeant Joseph B. Millage, United States Army. Specialist Jason N. Marchand, United States Army. Specialist Lorenzo Ponce de Leon Jr., United States Army. Tech Sergeant Aaron David McCoy, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Edward Rossler, United States Air Force. Specialist Rachel L. Hugo, United States Army Reserves. Chief Petty Officer Richard Neal Meek, United States Navy.
PFC Preston Matthew Owens, United States Army. Master Sergeant John Lawrence Warner, United States Army. Corporal Gilberto A. Mesa, United States Army. Corporal Adam D. Quinn, United States Army. Lance Corporal Darren Edward Driggers, United States Marine Corps. PV-1 Robert Holcomb, United States Army. PV-1 Cornell Newsom Jr., United States Army. Corporal Benjamin D. Dillon, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Joshua Robert Holden, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Anthony Raymond Weseliski, United States Army. Specialist Jamie Lewis Prince, United States Army. First Lieutenant Gregory Francis Zavota, United States Army. Seaman Dominique Alajon Alawaju Patterson, United States Navy. PFC Jeremy Cortez Price, United States Army. Lance Corporal Jeremy W. Burris, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Brian N. Delaflame, United States Army. PFC Tony Patrick Pearson, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Gregory Ernest Brown, United States Air Force. Specialist Frank L. Caddy III, United States Army. Sergeant Jason M. Glenn Terry, United States Army. Sergeant Eric T. Duckworth, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Specialist Samuel F. Pearson, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Lillian Clemens, United States Army Reserve. Senior Chief Petty Officer Todd L. Ethington, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Donald L. Munn II, United States Army. Master Sergeant Ronald Miller, United States Army. Master Sergeant Miguel Arcangel Perez, United States Army. PV-1, Nathan Z. Thacker, United States Army. Fireman Apprentice Justin John Williams, United States Navy. Senior Airman Freddie L. Porter Jr., United States Navy. Sergeant Elliot Wilson George Scott, United States Army. Master Sergeant David Lee Wheeler, United States Air Force. Master Sergeant David Lee Wheeler, United States Air Force. Gunnery Sergeant Chad Edward Love, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Ismael Rubilio Lemez, United States Navy. Specialist Joseph Francis Monchurio, United States Army. First Lieutenant Thomas M. Martin, United States Army. PFC Kenneth J. Izwiniski, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Justin S. Motchke, United States Army. Specialist Jason B. Contrubus, United States Army. Specialist Nathan Ryan Smith, United States Army. Sergeant Thomas Benjamin White, United States Marine Corps. PV-2 Shauna Lynn Ward, United States Army. PV-2 Brian David Henson, United States Army. First Sergeant Raymond Ray Leslie, United States Army. Specialist Michael D. Brown, United States Army. Private Daniel Stephen Ritchie, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Vincent A. Madero, United States Army. Lance Corporal Heberto Ramiro Sanchez II, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Christopher Keone Victor, United States Navy. Specialist Amber Lynn Weber, United States Army. Specialist Wayne M. Greger, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jared S. Fontenot, United States Army. PV-2 Johnny Wayne Guy, United States Army. PFC Scott Bradley Brim, United States Army. Corporal Eric T. Giroux, United States Marine Corps. PV-2 Antonio Ortiz Jr., United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Joel David Porchese, United States Army. Specialist Justin Wyatt Balden, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Doswell Donnell Carter, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Seth Cameron Pierce, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Benjamin Richard Scharf, United States Navy. Petty Officer 2nd Class Owen Ray Jones, United States Navy. Airman Apprentice Armando Lule, United States Navy. Senior Airman Seaman Apprentice Anna Maria San Camacho, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Algie Ray King, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Larry I. Rogel, United States Army. Sergeant Edward O. Philpott, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Scott Robert Turner, United States Army. Private First Class Adam J. Chichian, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Robin L. Towns Sr., United States Army National Guard. Specialist Hugo V. Mendoza, United States Army. Sergeant Joshua C. Brennan, United States Army. Specialist Made Segura, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class John Michael Wynn Pericino, United States Navy. Petty Officer First Class William Reynolds Loophole, United States Navy. Ensign Gregory Walsh Reyes, United States Navy. Private First Class Marvin Johnson II, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Douglas John Jones, United States Army. Specialist David E. Lambert, United States Army. Lance Corporal Jerry Lee Edmister III, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Samuel Silas Can, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Matthew Tristan McNamara, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Joseph F. Karuri, United States Army. Private First Class Kenneth John Riley, United States Army. Private Second Class Juan Arce Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Emmanuel Glenn Rains, United States Army. Private First Class Godwin Cale J. Andia Jr., United States Army. Master Sergeant Thomas L. Brunner, United States Army Reserve. Corporal Joseph Everett Stevenson III, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 3rd Class Emmanuel Kwam Asante, United States Navy. Petty Officer 1st Class Jacques LaShawn Liggins, United States Navy. Senior Airman Richard Ernest England, United States Air Force. Major Jeffrey R. Calero, United States Army National Guard. Airman Apprentice Thomas Jacob Reynolds, United States Navy. Petty Officer 1st Class Jerome Wilson, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Thomas Shelby Stores, United States Army. Sergeant Daniel L. McCall, United States Army. Private Cody M. Carver, United States Army. Private First Class Rush Marshall Jenkins, United States Army. Staff Sergeant James D. Bullard, United States Army National Guard. Captain Timothy I. McGovern, United States Army. Sergeant Louis A. Grace, United States Army. Specialist Brandon W. Smitherman, United States Army. Master Sergeant John M. Lundergan, Sr., United States Air National Guard. Second Lieutenant Tracy Lynn Algers, United States Army. Master Sergeant Thomas A. Crowell, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant David A. Weiger, United States Air Force. Gunnery Sergeant Robert James McQuilkin, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Johnny C. Walls, United States Army. Hospitalman Daniel John Chiampoli, United States Navy. Seaman Apprentice Gatlin Todd Cooper, United States Navy. Private First Class Dwayne A. Covert Jr., United States Army. Specialist Robert Allen Glenn Jr., United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel James Allen Lowe, United States Army. PV2 Eric Michael Fortner, United States Army. Master Sergeant Marlene Jean Begay, United States Army. Sergeant Sean Michael Stoddard, United States Army. Sergeant Desmond Quamain Harris, United States Marine Corps. Ensign Craig Dean Gamur, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Benjamin Santos Diaz, United States Army. Petty Officer 3rd Class Christopher Allen Turner, United States Navy. Seaman Chad Allen Glover, United States Navy. Fireman Apprentice Elizabeth Michelle Hash, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Michael Joseph Oshia II, United States Army. Sergeant Daniel J. Shaw, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Carletta S. Davis, United States Army. Sergeant Derek T. Stenroos, United States Army. Staff Sergeant John D. Lind, United States Army. Private First Class Adam J. Mueller, United States Army. Sergeant Stephen Daniel Lopez, United States Army. Corporal Carl Edward Underwood Jr., United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Kirby Augustus Lewis Jr., United States Navy.
Petty Officer 2nd Class Kevin R. Bewley, United States Navy. Specialist Christine M. Naduri, United States Army. Petty Officer 1st Class Holly Ann Sherry, United States Navy. Sergeant Louis Tumaveyo, United States Army. Captain Benjamin D. Tiffner, United States Army. Petty Officer 1st Class Annette Lee Moxlin Scott, United States Navy. CW2 David Angelo Francis Alvarez, United States Army. Captain Christian Philip Skulker, United States Army. Sergeant Jose Contreras Martinez Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Lon Frederick Hardy III, United States Army. Captain Cartiz B. Durham, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Mark Allen Spence, United States Air Force. Senior Airman Kenneth P. Hopop, Jr., United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Frank Joel Garita, United States Air Force. Specialist Nicholas Austin Siriano, United States Army. Specialist Jermaine D. Franklin, United States Army. First Lieutenant Matthew C. Ferreira, United States Army. Specialist Sean K. A. Langevin, United States Army. Sergeant Jeffrey S. Mearsman, United States Army. PFC Joseph M. LaCour, United States Army. Specialist Juan Francisco Roman, United States Army. Specialist Lester G. Rook, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Justin LaPaul Coleman, United States Air Force. Sergeant Philip Allen Box, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 3rd Class Portia Nakia Smith, United States Navy. Specialist Joseph Michael Lancourt, United States Army. Sergeant Major Craig Allen Griffin, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Patrick F. Hirschbach, United States Army. Specialist James Wayne McDonald, United States Army. Specialist Enrique Valentino Herrera, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel John Wesley Jackson, United States Air Force. Sergeant Derek Keith Duncan, United States Marine Corps. Major Bland Maurice Stout, Jr., United States Army. Corporal Chance Wesley Robichaud, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Ashley Sistemia, United States Army. Sergeant Joseph M. Vanek, United States Army. Sergeant Adrian E. Pike, United States Army. Captain David A. Boris, United States Army. Senior Airman Matthew James Nattle, United States Navy. Specialist Peter W. Smith, United States Army. Sergeant Christopher R. Cruz, United States Army. PFC Casey P. Mason, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Stuart R. Lyles, United States Army. Senior Airman Michael Dennis Starin, United States Air Force. Major Edwin Rangel Torres, United States Army. Sergeant Kenneth R. Booker, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Peter H. Brooks, United States Army. Senior Airman Kevin James Conway, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Roger Kent Lemon Jr., United States Marine Corps. Corporal Stephen Robert Mermit Jr., United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Anthony Monerato, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Staff Sergeant Sean Paul Raymond, United States Army. Sergeant Stephen C. Ganeski, United States Army. Sergeant Mason L. Lewis, United States Army. Specialist Brandon Joel Foster, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Irving Eduardo Rojas, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Jerry Travares Dillard, United States Army. Corporal Dioselina Cornell, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class John Russell Trawick, United States Navy. PFC Timothy Brandon Arnold, United States Army. Corporal Jason T. Lee, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Patrick Chathan, United States Army. Staff Sergeant PFC Mario L. Ferrero, United States Army. Corporal Christopher J. Nelson, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Alejandro Ayala, United States Air Force. Hospitalman Brian Takenda Byungyong, United States Navy.
Specialist Justin Ross Fairchild, United States Army. Master Sergeant Betty Lorene Wodachek, United States Air Force. Major Mark Allen Yuspa, United States Air Force. Seaman Christopher Allen Markomen, United States Navy. PV2 Alford Roland Reimer Jr., United States Army. Specialist James John Weber, United States Army. Sergeant Alfred G. Paredes Jr., United States Army. Specialist Tara Kate Curran, United States Army. Sergeant Louis Rene Lopez, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Charles Allen Shirley, United States Navy. Specialist David Carl Schoof, United States Army. Specialist Melvin L. Henley Jr., United States Army. Captain Jeffrey Scott Hampton, United States Air Force. Corporal Kyle Edwin Guzman, United States Marine Corps. PV2, Tu Minh Tran, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jonathan L. Martin, United States Army. Staff Sergeant William Muhammad, United States Army. Petty Officer 2nd Class Douglas Scott Tarter, United States Navy. PV1 Justin Bernard C., United States Army. Specialist William David Babcock, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Kenneth West, United States Army. PV2 Randall J. Wolf, United States Army. Private First Class Philip Joseph Diafiero, United States Army. Specialist Vivian Perez, United States Army. Seaman Crystal Sharon Newcomb, United States Navy. Petty Officer 2nd Class Ricky Floyd Stevens Jr., United States Navy. Sergeant Victoria Ann Combs, United States Army. We'd also like to call out the names of Lieutenant Junior Grade Arthur Rule, Sergeant Major Raymond Henderson, Sergeant Jason McCluskey.
One mile today that I had the honor of running was for a high school classmate in the state of Alabama, was for Monica Gordon. Her brother passed in OEF 16 September 2009. Sergeant Robert David Gordon II. Monica, this is for you.
299 names, that seemed like a long time, didn't it? 299 names over only 59 dates. If you think about that, 59 dates for all of those names. And for every single one of those names that was called, we planted a set of flags in honor of their service and in remembrance of their families. But as I mentioned earlier, we carry the Honor and Remember flag, and although we're calling out the names of those that died in the War on Terror, just giving the sirens a moment. And although we carry and call out the names of those that died during the War on Terror, we remember every service member, regardless of generation. And so, as we read the names each evening, and we do this every single day, we like to allow anyone who is within our earshot here to call out the name of someone who wasn't mentioned from any generation, someone that you may have served with, someone who may be a loved one, a neighbor, someone from your community. It makes no difference what generation. I give you an opportunity before we close this portion to say the name out loud of someone who means something to you. And so if anyone would like to do that, I don't want you to come to the microphone. You can just raise your hand, I'll acknowledge you, and as loud as you can. Don't be shy. Call out the name of someone. You've got a wireless there? No?
I'll start it out. My brother, Sergeant Rocky Farrell, USMC.
My cousin, Danny Falcons from the Vietnam War.
Trained Specialist Joshua Schultz, United States Army.
Okay. Anyone else?
PFC Ray Chenoweth died in Vietnam.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sometimes we don't realize that we don't say names out loud. We hold people in our hearts, but we don't often say their names out loud. It's a very powerful moment to do that. Go ahead.
Sergeant Buddy Huey, Afghanistan, February 19th, 2007.
Anyone else? Okay. We could just take a moment of silence for all of those names that we read, all of those names that were mentioned, and all of those names that were unspoken. Bow our heads. Amen.
Amen.
Danny?
This time, I'd like the city manager, Larry Pinnell, to come forward. We have a proclamation from the city that he would like to present. I'm not sure we know who to present it to, though.
Mr. Lutz on the runners, support staff for Run for the Fallen. Welcome to Perry, and I would like to welcome you by reading this proclamation. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas service is personified in our armed forces and the men and women who volunteer, and whereas those sacrifices of the fallen represent the ultimate service to our nation, and whereas those sacrifices are paid daily by the Gold Star families and loved ones left behind, and whereas American citizens owe a debt of gratitude and remembrance to those fallen and their Gold Star families, and whereas honor and remember is dedicated to publicly recognizing each and every sacrifice, and whereas America's Run for the Fallen is the largest organized running tribute to fallen service members and their families, and whereas this represents the best spirit of community, sacrifice, and service, traits we all should aspire to espouse in our family, our work, and social lives. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Gordon J. Johnson, Mayor of Perry, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim May 29, 2018 as Run for the Fallen Day in the city of Perry, and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of such an event, the sacrifices of those remembered, and the honor of Gold Star families. Mr. Lutz?
All those on the team, please raise your hand. Team, they want to get a quick picture. Bear with us. Here, hold that.
Yeah, it's like he's covering it. Now, you want to get right there, and we'll take this moment to get a picture with all of them.
May I take that for you so you can be in the picture? Sure. Which button do I push to take it?
It's video right now.
Oh, okay. Good.
We'll have to deal here.
Well, you guys are runners too, so get in there.
They are. Got it. Feeling weird.
Okay, at this time, I'd like for Kayla Sloan to come forward from Main Street, Perry. I believe she has some commemorative coins, so all you runners kind of stay right here together. So we can
I am not a runner.
support those, right? They don't make it without you, right?
We go.
Main Street of Perry is a nonprofit organization that aims at the preservation and revitalization of downtowns all across America. And as a part of that, we believe that it's similar to like the heart. The downtown is the heart of our town, is the heart of our city, the heart of our community. And it's important to have a healthy heart. I think as runners, you guys can appreciate that without a healthy heart, you wouldn't be able to fully function. So as a part of that, right behind us is our beautiful Noble County Courthouse. And so on behalf of Main Street of Perry, I would like to give each of you a commemorative coin.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
At this time, I'd like for Lieutenant Colonel retired Tom Trumbull from the American Legion to come forward. We took up a little bit of a collection, and he has some cash, envelope with some cash, because we know they cost money to go on these runs. And so we want to make a donation from the American Legion.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Much needed.
Okay, and I want to give some special thanks to all of you who are here today, okay? I know if you look around this crowd, we got a good crowd, a good representation, but it doesn't even make a minuscule amount to the names that were read that were lost in that time frame. And that's just during that one time period. And, you know, we all get to get up every day, sometimes slower than others, okay, some of us, but they will no longer rise out of bed. And I think it is quite an honor for us to be able to thank you folks for doing what you're doing. And I appreciate everybody that's here today to help us share in that moment, because it is a part of history. And to conclude our ceremony today,
We have one more thing I'd like to do after the train. There's a lot of noises in Perry, isn't it? No. It's bustling. It's active. There's a lot going on here. That's awesome. What state was that? New Mexico? We actually ran parallel to the train tracks all the way through New Mexico. And the train, you know, we're coming and going the entire time. And every intersection, of course, they had to blast. So we're very familiar with trains and noise. One of the things that I'd like to end with before we conclude in prayer is something that's very special to our organization and very special to us as a team. And I mentioned that the Honor and Remember flag was created to honor all generations of fallen service members. But it's more than just having a flag on a flagpole and acknowledging that sacrifice. But as an organization, we want to make sure that we remember individually by name. Isn't that what we're doing? We've been calling these names out mile after mile across, 7 states now. And so more than that, we want to make sure that we identify and say thank you in particular to as many families as we can. And many families were out running with us and actually standing there waiting to hear their names called out loud. But we have something very special that we prepare, and we don't often have a chance to do this. Coral, come up and help me with this, please. What I have in my hand is an honor and remember flag that has been tri-folded into a triangular configuration. And it was folded this way because it mirrors this American flag that was taken off the casket and handed to a family at the memorial of their loved one's loss. But this flag, handmade, is an heirloom. And the flag, the American flag, was folded reverently and respectfully and put in a case to be left in a triangle forever. But the honor and remember flag, once it's presented, is folded like this one time. Because once it's opened, it's meant to be a celebration of their life and not just a reminder of their death. And I would like to ask Dolores Darby to come forward, please. We have a special flag prepared for her and presented tonight with you as our witnesses in honor of her son Jason. And I would last ask the runners to open this flag. As I read the certificate. This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Sergeant Jason J. McCluskey. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember his selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. We honor you and Jason today in the purview of all of those here at Perry, and thank you for all that you've endured and will endure, and know that we will never forget. God bless you.
So awesome. This time I'd like for our chaplain to come forward and end the ceremony with a prayer so that you continue God's speed on your way, continue your mission, and help us all remember this day is a day of history and help us always remember our fallen. So with that, we'll cover.
O Lord God of hosts, as we are here today to honor and pay respects to our comrades of our great nation, you have given us a rich and beautiful land for our heritage. We humbly pray that you may always prove ourselves faithful, constantly aware of your favor, and anxious to demonstrate our gratitude in seeking to know and to do your will. This day, remember all who serve the armed forces of our nation. We ask also that you will watch over the veterans of this land, inspiring them to serve you and this country. We pray also for those who have given their lives in the service of our country, and for those, our fellow veterans, who have served this nation. Grant them your peace. All this we ask, Almighty Creator, in your name, amen.
Amen. I think that concludes everything. I can't thank Danny enough for setting this all up and for all of you coming out here. I don't know how all the word got spread, but there were, I know, a lot of hands involved and whatnot. A lot of people have asked us about shirts and things, and you know, it does take resources for us to get from one place to another. We say we do this every single day. So we do have shirts. If anybody's interested, no obligation. We'll have some things up here at a table. If you're interested, come on up and you know, help us how you can. But thank you. God bless you guys for being out here. It means the world to us to see this kind of support. Thank you.